Committing the time and energy to ensure success, being a true professional. Hello, it is my pleasure to work with you. I'm Drew McLandrich. The information and techniques contained in the 5 videos you will see over the next 9 weeks will make your work easier and more enjoyable and help ensure Cincinnati keeps more customers and grows its business with its customers. Each of the 5 videos in this series is about 20 minutes long. Each video is followed by a 10-question survey which you will receive and return via email. Every other week, for about the next 10 weeks, you'll receive a link to a new video followed by a survey. The 5 videos cover today's subject, committing time and energy to ensure success, being a true professional, representing CI, being an ambassador, engaging with difficult customers and succeeding in difficult situations, further introducing your customers to Cincinnati, and lastly, the 5th video, an overview, putting it all together. Again, the 2 main goals are to make your work more enjoyable by creating more happy customers, even among customers who were initially unhappy, and to learn to inform our customers in an easy fashion about what else Cincinnati offers. Proven techniques and tips concerning how to prevent and handle certain situations will be presented. The thought is to make these proven techniques and tips as automatic as possible so correct actions are quickly available to you when you need them in the heat of the moment. These solid proven techniques should prevent situations from getting out of hand. And if a situation does get a little crazy, additional techniques and turns of phrase and simple actions that will de-escalate those situations are presented. To illustrate the ideas and concepts presented, famous and not so famous people will be mentioned and shown. So let's get started. Here's a name that comes to mind, Mario Andretti, a winner in all types of car racing, at all levels of racing. Mario reminds us of this one recurring action, the one thing that happens to any type of racing car, stock car, dragster, Formula One car, after that car has turned a very fast lap, perhaps the fastest lap ever on that track. The car is returned to the garage and the race team looks for ways to make that car go a little faster, perhaps corner a little better, to increase that car's performance. That is the goal of our work, to improve upon something that is already very good. The Cincinnati servicemen are not a jalopy trying to chug down to 7-Eleven for a bag of Doritos, a Mountain Dew, and a lottery ticket. In fact, it's just the opposite. The Cincinnati servicemen is a team of professionals turning very fast laps. Let's go a little faster. Throughout these 5 videos, we will remind ourselves about our duties as professionals and as representatives of CI. Here are 2 ideas that I believe define a professional. In addition to being paid for what they do, professionals make what they do look terribly easy, and professionals give their best performance when they least feel like it. That's our challenge, that's our opportunity. Throughout these 5 videos, chances are I will not tell you anything you don't already know. Here's Michelangelo, the great painter and sculptor. He went to the Carrara stone quarries to select marble blocks from which he carved his great works like David. Michelangelo said he saw the figure he wanted to create already in the block of marble. Michelangelo said he did not carve the statues, instead he simply freed the figures from the blocks of marble by removing the excess stone. This is what I mean when I say, chances are I will not tell you anything you don't already know. Our goal is to remove the excess stone and bring our knowledge and instinctive skills to the fore. Let's talk about the reason you get up and go to work each day, to take care of your customers. Yes, we need to provide for our families and our needs, but that only happens when we take care of our customers. Taking care of our customers includes taking care of your customers' equipment. I say includes because in addition to keeping your customers' equipment in good condition, it is the work of the Cincinnati serviceman to keep the customer himself in good condition. pleased and satisfied. Throughout the 5 videos, CI's customer is most every single time referred to as your customer. The word your versus the word the is used to assist us in remembering Cincinnati's hard-won customer is entrusted to you. No one sees your customers more than you do. Cincinnati's customer is your customer. When your customer is productive, his rice bowl is full, his wallet is full, and in turn, so is yours. Henry Ford knew this and knew it well when he said, "It is not the employer who pays wages. Employers only handle the money. It is the customer who pays the wages." Isaac Newton reminds us there are natural forces that govern the way things work. When we work with these natural forces, things go much easier than when we resist these natural forces. When we work with people the way they like to work and use the natural forces like human nature to our advantage, work is much easier and more enjoyable for everyone involved. To anyone my age or so, this man might look familiar. It's Don Herbert, better known as Mr. Wizard. Each Saturday morning, Mr. Wizard invited a kid into his workshop, and together they explored something related to science. One of Mr. Wizard's demonstrations involved getting a peeled hard-boiled egg into an empty glass ketchup bottle without breaking the hard-boiled egg. If one tries to push the hard-boiled egg through the small top of the ketchup bottle, the egg breaks up. So as you may know, Mr. Wizard lit a match and dropped that lit match into the empty ketchup bottle. Then he placed the peeled hard-boiled egg on top of the bottle with the small end of the egg down. The match quickly consumed all the air in the bottle and a vacuum was created. This vacuum sucked the peeled hard-boiled egg right into the bottle. This is an example of using natural forces to our advantage instead of struggling and breaking things up. Instead, the desired result follows naturally. You are a professional. As I said a minute ago, in addition to being paid for what they do, professionals make what they do look terribly easy. And professionals give their best performance when they least feel like it. Professionals consistently demonstrate these 2 qualities because a lot of hard work goes in behind the scenes. The following may be somewhat representative of a day in the professional life of a CI serviceman. Ah, the open road. Today you might get to spend 6 hours on it. A beautiful day and the driving is... Sometimes flying is the way you get there. You breeze through screening. Lucky you, a window seat. And who would think those 2 cute little kids behind you would kick your seat for the next 3 hours? Certainly not their non-attentive parents. I just could never finish all the food they serve me. Deplane and grab your bags. Breeze through the rental car line. Your car is at the ready. Drive safely. Ah, the open road again. You made it. Now to relax in your comfortable room. In fact, you're early enough to enjoy some time poolside before a scrumptious meal. Then off to bed for a good night's sleep. It's go time. But first, a nutritious breakfast and an easy cruise over to the customer, who is so very happy to see you. Welcome. No problem. You're always cool, never cold. Cool. As a professional, in many ways, your work is like that of a physician. You diagnose, you prescribe, you treat. And like a good doctor, you have an impeccable bedside manner. As you know, your work involves more than fixing a machine. Your work involves making people well too. It's day in and day out. In a way, that's your real test. Your work is not a sprint, though you have to move quickly. Your work is not a marathon. It's an ultra marathon. And at times, it's gonna hurt. How does one do it and do it well? Here are a few proven habits worth considering. Of course, the first is making a commitment to one's profession, really going for it. You can bet this guy was not only the best offensive and defensive player of his time, he was most likely the best eater, the best sleeper, and the best conditioned player. It would not seem possible to play like he did for all those years and be clubbing, not taking care of himself. That said, may I suggest, eat right, rest right, exercise. And exercise is a lot more than just moving around, which happens all throughout your day. You've got to get and keep that heart rate up for a while. Do consult your doctor before beginning serious exercise and then get after it. This famous person introduces another vital concept, communication. Although others have real and serious claims to having invented the talking telegraph, Alexander Graham Bell is credited with its invention and held the first patents. Alexander Graham Bell, like his father, worked with the deaf and was all about communication. So is a Cincinnati serviceman. Use Mr. Bell's invention whenever your customer or the CI service scheduler is thinking something different is going to happen than what is actually going to happen. Your customer thinks you're arriving at 1, but you're not getting there until 1:30. Call, email. Whatever way your customer has told you he likes to communicate, use that medium and take the pressure off yourself and off him. My rule for calling is being 10 minutes or more late. You decide. It may vary by customer and with other factors. May I suggest set a hard and fast rule for yourself. Some number of minutes late and you call. It's not a thinking thing, you just call. And call as soon as you know. When in doubt, communicate. Make it short, to the point. Just the facts. Sorry to be running late. I will be there at 1:30. Over and out. Bad news delivered early can turn into good news. Bad news delivered late is most always bad news. Most people of my vintage know this guy. It's Joe Friday, aka Jack Webb. Friday reminds us to keep discussions with your customers short. Just the facts, especially when the conversation is unpleasant. No need to go on and on, just the facts. And of course, conversations and interactions vary because circumstances and people vary. That variance in people brings us to these women. Catherine Cook Briggs and Isabel Myers are mother and daughter. Together, in 1942, they developed a test that divides people into 16 personality types. Some psychologists and many test takers believe these types say a lot about how people think and interact. Well, one surely can argue how well people can be summed up in 16 personality types. It certainly is true that different people like to get, process, and evaluate information in different ways. The Briggs-Myers groupings are introvert and extrovert, intuitive and sensory, thinking and feeling, judging and perceiving. Sometimes when I take the test, I score as a weak introvert and at other times as a weak extrovert. So even the same person may be different from day to day. The idea here is to be sensitive to what type of person you are working with and how their style and needs interact with your style and needs. You may not be able to do much about it, but just knowing can be helpful. You can take the Myers-Briggs test online, and it's free. When we interact with people, we communicate through words, gestures, and body language. This man was a man of words. Noah Webster reminds us that there are good words and better words, and the perfect word, and that some words are just a poor choice of words. Mark Twain noted, the difference between a good word and a great word is the difference between a lightning bug and lightning. And it may be that the wrong word may bring lightning. When speaking with a customer, avoid any declarative sentence starting with you. That word may be heard as wagging your finger at the customer. This is especially true when speaking by telephone. Back to Mr. Bell. When we are face to face, so much more information about how we feel and what we mean is available because the other person can see us. Of course, that can be good and bad. We all know there are many forms of the term yes, sir. There's yes, sir, and yes, sir. Same two words, three very different meanings. When we speak, especially by telephone, we must modulate our voice, put a smile in our voice, sometimes sadden our voice. As we know, there are words and then there is the tone with which those words are spoken. Additionally, if and when you must deliver bad news, the calmer you can deliver the news, the calmer it will be received. Naturally, you must use your most confident and soothing tone of voice. Deliver the news at a moderate pace. Break the news down into bite-sized pieces. Don't speak too fast just to get the news out quickly. The customer will sense your assurance and react positively to it. Most importantly, finish your delivery of bad news with a positive, realistic, understandable way forward. Making a bad news telephone call or an in-person presentation of bad news requires planning and perhaps rehearsal. One phrase that helps introduce bad news is, after your greeting, you might say, "I wish I had better news about the part. It will be here next Thursday." The first sentence prepares your listener for bad news. The second sentence tells the listener the way forward. Sadly, too often people hear what they expect to hear, what they want to hear, and not what was said or intended. This fact of human nature sets the communication bar very high. When there is a problem or a potential problem, before addressing the issue, it is best to confirm your understanding of the problem and identify the true underlying need. If a customer is asking for something that you think is going to be tough to deliver, the last thing you want to do is jump in with an explanation without confirming their issue. Asking questions is very often better than making statements, so you may want to ask, "Please let me make sure I'm understanding exactly what you're saying. I'm hearing that the software doesn't seem to be directing the cut correctly. Is that right?" Asking probing questions can get to the heart of your customer's need. Be sure to understand any deadlines involved or who might be pressuring your customer about this situation, or if your customer perceives a threat due to the issue. Here's two interesting words, but, and the other word, and. Two words we all use frequently. Let's take a quick look at but and and. In most all uses, but most always erases everything that was said before and maintains what was said before. Using the word and links what was said before with the caveat, the warning, the exception following the and. As we conclude this get-together, please recall, in addition to being compensated, professionals make the work they do look terribly easy. Professionals give their best performance when they least feel like it. When in doubt, over-communicate. It is difficult to have exactly the right amount of communication. It is so much better to hear, "You already told me that," than it is to hear, "Why didn't you tell me? If I had only known, I would have been able to." Before we conclude, let me say, when there is a problem to be solved, an issue to be resolved, a work area to be cleaned, paperwork to be completed, may I suggest, treat those things like a vampire in your castle. Once you know those problems issues, paperwork need to be taken care of, drive a stake into their heart and be done with them. Don't just chase them into the basement and close the door thinking you have gotten rid of them. Getting rid of vampires or problems doesn't work that way. If a problem, a loose end is ignored, not finished off, the problem is still around. Drive a stake into the heart of the problem and be done with it. Yes, this means grinding through things one would rather never ever do, and exactly at the time when one feels the least like doing it. Paperwork can be that way. Of course, the completion of paperwork is as much a part of the work as taking care of your customer, as diagnosing the issue with the machine, and as with repairing the machine. Incomplete or uncompleted paperwork means the job is not done. The hours are not accounted for, the job cannot be billed. Yes, paperwork comes at the end of the job when one is tired and one's sights are set on the next job. Thus, at that time, when one feels the least like it, one's best performance must be summoned. The last part of the job, the paperwork, must be done and done well. Thank you for your time and attention. CI and I sincerely appreciate it. Soon you'll receive an email with a link to a survey concerning the content of this video. Please complete the survey and return it via SurveyMonkey. In about 2 weeks, you'll receive an email with a link to the next video entitled Representing CI, Being an Ambassador. Until then, do travel and work safely. All the best.